I'm going to kick off with Love Hurts. And before I say anything about any of the films I saw in cinema this week, I put out a tweet on a Netflix versus Cinema account in which I said, my viewing experience this week has proven without a shadow of a doubt that the January Oscar quality bump is well and truly over. Because the BAFTAs are this weekend. The BAFTAs are this weekend. So any film that wanted to be like, oh, wait, cinemas, go watch us, we were nominated for an award, has been and gone. The Oscars are like the week after, I think, or something like that. So they don't care
they're
anymore.
normally both February now, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah. So they've gotten they've gotten that all of the way, and so now what we have is we have the other stuff that comes out that isn't trying to be prestige or, in some cases, even good. So in cinema this week, don't expect great things. That's what I'm going to say. And as I'm going to kick off with the film Love Hurts. So this is a film that starts off, and the premise of this film, when I even heard this film before, about the premise before I watched it, the premise of this film straight away made me think of A History of Violence. And if you've seen A History of Violence, you know what
Yes.
the premise of this film is. So you're introduced to this guy, played by Ki Hugh Kwan, who is called Marvin Gable. He's called Marvin Gable. He's a realtor. He sells houses. When you see him at the beginning, he's in his house and he's making like heart-shaped cookies because Valentine's Day is coming up, and he's making heart-shaped cookies for an open house he's going to do, and he's going to take them to the office and he's going to give it to all these people. And then he has like someone who he speaks to at work who is like a co-worker, and she's having she's having like, you know, motivation issues, and he's giving her like a pep talk about how you can always just be where you want to be in life and all that kind of stuff. And then he goes into his office, and as he goes into his office, where he has one of these offices that nobody else can see from outside. He goes to his office and he immediately gets knocked out. Then he wakes up with a knife in his hand, like it's pinning his hand to his table, and a guy there reading poetry to him. So if you've seen The History of Violence, you can understand that he is not just a realtor. He had a previous life. And then his previous life is coming back to catch up with him. He used to be an assassin for some sort of gang, and now all the other assassins are coming after him because it turns out that there was someone he was supposed to kill a while back that he didn't kill. Ensue what they hope are shenanigans. Now, you now this is a film, right? That the first point I would make is that a film with that kind of premise, unless it's going to be like A History of Violence and it's going to be mega serious, it needs some wit. This is a kind of film that needs wit to actually. It needs wit. It needs humor. It needs zippiness. This has none of that. It doesn't know what it wants to be. It's like the tone is all over the shop. There's bits where it's kind of like, okay, where Ki Hugh Kwan is there, was like, okay, cool, we're gonna go for a comedy thing. And there's sometimes where within the same scene you have different actors who seem to think that this is a different film from the one like they all think they're in a different film. This one's playing it for comedy. This one is being all kind of serious and stuff like that. And I'm just kind of like, the number of times I said, what the fill in the blank while watching this film. And I mean, it's the thing about it is, I think the biggest thing that lets this film down is just the film craft. You know, when you are watching a film, you know it's bad when you're thinking about how they recorded the sound.
Yeah, when you start analysing the technicalities of it.
No, yeah, I know that is my bent. That's my bent anyway. Because obviously, what I do, I make social media, I make video content for people. So that's like adjacent to filmmaking. So I'm always looking at, oh, hang on a second, I can see they did the reverse shot over his shoulder. Oh, that means his mouth isn't synced up with what he's saying and everything like that. But the film craft is just lazy. You know how you watch a film and sometimes you have like a big scene and then you have like a filler scene in the middle that links to another scene, and you kind of wonder what was that scene there in the middle for? And the only reason that scene was there was to link scene A and scene B. That's the only reason that scene was there. This entire film is made up of scenes like that. Like the scenes that just keep happening. You're going, what the heck was the point of that? Why did that happen? What was that doing there? And you will find yourself saying that over and over and over again. I mean, I am convinced that they did not have a script for this before they shot it. And which is weird because Ki Hugh Kwan says that what attracted him was like, oh, they thought the script was really, really good. But there's so many places of what you call ADR, like additional dialogue recording, where you can see that they've gone in afterwards to record it. So, I mean, if you ever watch this film, which I will not recommend, if you ever watch this film, just look at the number of times where people are having dialogue scenes where the camera is behind the person who's speaking. The camera is behind the person who's speaking, so it's kind of like you can see that what they said is they went, okay, we didn't film this on the day, so come back in and we're just gonna have that, and we're just gonna say this over the back, and then Key, while you're facing away from the camera, we're gonna say this, and that happened so many times. It's happened so many times. I was like, you know what? I know I have this whole thing about over-analyzing films, but I think even if you were not me, you would notice that. That was so bad. Even right at the beginning of the film, because you have Ariana DeBose, and she has this whole thing where she's a bit where she's writing something with a marker, and they have this sort of like, this sort of giggly thing, like a giggly voice going over, and you see it from the back. And I'm like, okay, if you're giggling like that, your shoulders would be moving, wouldn't they? Or something. And I'm just like, oh my God, this film is just, it's just so badly made. This is from the team that brought you John Wick. So even the action scenes, you think that, and there are some good action scenes in it. I mean, the first one with Ki Hu Kwan and Mustafa Shakir, that is a good one. That's a good one. But after that, it just becomes like action for action's sake. And whenever they try and do action that doesn't involve Ki Hu Kwan, it doesn't work. Like there's a scene that they have where they try and give Ariana DeBose an action thing to do. And oh my God, it sucks. It is so, and the performances, there's an actor called Cam Giganet.
He was in Twilight, wasn't he? That's why he's most famous.
Yeah, he was, and I've never actually heard his name said out loud, but
I don't think I have.
Yeah, and he honestly, his performance. When I talk about people being in different films, he is in a panto. He is 100% in a panto. Oh, good Lord. It needs invention, it needs wit, but it doesn't have either of that. It's just turgid. The film is turgid. It's only an hour and a half. It feels a lot longer. And yeah, and I'm really, oh my God. Oh, sorry, I just saw a note I made while I was watching the film. Voiceovers. There's so much voiceover in this film. And voiceover can be used well, or it can be used lazily as a crutch for somebody who didn't know what they were doing. And this is the latter. It's like, and the voiceover keeps flitting between different people as well. I'm like, oh my God, they didn't know what they were doing when they made this film, and they tried to fix everything in post. And I feel really sorry for Ariana DeBose, because I know she came to a lot of major prominence when she was in West Side Story.
Yeah, West Side Story is a big one I think of her as.
Yeah, and I don't think she's made any good films since.
No, they haven't used her well afterwards, have they?
Either they haven't used her well, or she hasn't chosen properly, or
her agent has been steering her in the wrong direction.
Her agent has, excuse me, but screwed her over. Because she hasn't, and this film has 2 Oscar winners in it, because he has Ki Hu Kwan, who won for Everything Anywhere All at Once, and Ariana DeBose. They both won in the supporting actor category, and these were 2 Oscars. It can
be a kiss of death for some careers, though, can't it?
It can.
How many people have won the best supporting, and then that's it? They just go. Bleh.
And after that, Hollywood doesn't know what to do with them. And these were 2 Oscar wins that I was okay with. I was not too enamored with the performances, but I was okay with because of what they meant in the wider cultural thing. And the further away from the Oscar wins they get, it begins to look like they were a little bit tokenism, because they haven't given, especially Ariana DeBose, anything good to do. So I cannot recommend this film with any good conscience. The only reason I would recommend this film is because misery loves company. I want someone to come join me and complain and whinge and say, yes, Tosin, you're not crazy. It really is that bad. and I cannot give this above a 2. I cannot give this film above a 2 star.